65.7% scored A1 to C6 in 2021 compared to the 52% in 2020. So that means there is an increase of an improvement of 15% from the 2020 figure. Now, in social studies, we realized that 64% passed in 2020, and that increased to 66%, representing a 2% increase in passes. So it means that when you look at these figures, it's an indication that they're doing well when it comes to, while in English and mathematics, there was a reduction in performance, in social studies and integrated science, there were improvements in their performance. But of concern also, Kojo, is the fact that now certain, schools have had their subject results withheld. Now, according to WAEC, subject scripts of candidates in 194 schools have been withheld pending investigation. And this represents about 20% of all WASSCE schools. And the question is, what does it tell you if 20% of the schools that sat for the WASSCE have some subject scripts withheld for further investigations?
It really raises questions about the credibility of the exam, because that is an increase, a huge increase actually, from last year. Rather big. We're looking at something like 3,667 students having their results withheld, as compared to 384 only last year. A 950% increase. Someday inside. All right, now, of course, some preliminary issues have been raised by Edu Watch, Africa Education Watch. Kofi Asare is their executive director. Let's speak to him briefly. Mr. Asare, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Hi, morning, Winston, Kojo, and to your service audience.
So we've got quite a lot of issues being raised here, even in your preliminary release about the WASSCE results. First of all, you commend those who did well, the subjects in which all the targets were hit, like mathematics, integrated science, and social studies. And of course, English was not hit. But you go deeper. You raise the issue of how the averages might be telling a not so true story. Okay, so 51%, over 50% have passed. But there are schools like Lambusi SHS, Buipe SHS, Zabzugu SHS, Tako SHS, which historically have had 0% WASSCE pass rates. You know, the entire region, Upper West region, scores under 1%, but the national pass rate is 50%. So what you're identifying here is a disconnect between what the averages are telling us and what the reality is on the ground. Tell us more.
Yeah, let me quickly indicate that the 3,300 students with results withheld is different from the 194 schools with specific subject results withheld.
Right.
They are different. So it's an addition to the 194 schools.
I see.
And that's why that tells us that, perhaps it's more than 20. It's more than 20% of schools we are talking about here. Yes, the challenge in our educational system has never been with national averages. At the BEC level, national average pass rate is always good, but it is skewed in favor of urban districts and against rural districts. If you look at national proficiency test scores in English and math, same. You go to districts like Yendi, Zabzugu, and they are doing about less than 2% proficiency rate. But you come to municipalities like Yekuku, Adenta, they will be doing the national average or even more, about 25, 26, 30%. Same way for BEC and WASSCE. So because this has been the systemic deficit in our educational sector, analysts always look at national data with a decentralized perspective. To what extent do the national improvements reflect equitably in the districts and in the deprived regions? If you look at Upper West, for instance, about 30 schools in 2019 was no one scored 1%. The highest was 0.63%. If you go to the Northern region, Northwest, is it Northwest?
Northeast.
Northeast.
Yes, Northeast.
Yeah, Northeast. All but three schools. All but three schools scored less than one at 2019. I don't have the 2020 data. If you look at the 4 or 5 regions in the part of Ghana, it's a similar trend. And you look at the Northern West and all that. So the issue is that very few schools are scoring a good grade to cover up for the entire nation. It is good to score grades. It is good that the target in the education strategic plan in terms of WASSCE pass rates are being met. And this year, they have been exceeded for math, integrated science, and social studies. It is good, but these are the targets. But it is also better for us to be concerned about the equitable distribution of learning outcomes in our educational system, because that is the only way we can talk about equitable and balanced development as espoused in our own constitution and per our sustainable development goals commitment. And that is why I am drawing attention to policymakers that it is good to be happy and jubilate that we have scored at least 50% of the candidates have scored between A1 and C in the 4 core, not all 6 meant for tertiary, but in the 4 core. But then, if we want to improve our system, we should rather be mindful of waiting for the entire results, final results, and then undertake a district, regional analysis, school level analysis of the performance, and satisfy ourselves on the extent to which the interventions that government has deployed under the free senior school program in Canton Senior High School, in Nadoli, in Bupe, in Zabzugu Senior High School, is working to the extent that they are no more getting 0% or 0.2% for Zabzugu. That is where we can all jubilate and say that, yes, our intervention is equitably affecting the quality of learning, teaching, and learning outcomes. Then we can jubilate.
So, a lot of what you're talking about is sort of an action point for WAEC. If indeed we are having issues with the authenticity of the exam because of the number of results that have been withheld, and number of not even results but actual scripts that have been withheld because of suspicions of malpractice. So if that is out of our hands as a nation, if it's a WAEC problem, what can we do? What's left for us to do?
So you see, whenever we raise issues of examination fraud, leakage in question papers, examination of practices, people don't get it. They don't get the connection with the education system. When you have a compromised external assessment system, it blurs the very essence of external assessment, because the student has foreknowledge of the assessment item. What are you assessing, and how genuine, how real will your assessment be a manifestation of what the student really has learned? Okay, so when you have, in any country, if you have an assessment system, if an examining body conducts examinations, and in more than 20% of the schools that examination was conducted, candidate results have been withheld, it tells you there's something wrong with the quality of assessment. 20%.
What is wrong? What is wrong with the quality of assessment? I mean, isn't WAEC doing well by actually withholding these results for further investigations? They suspect something, they're investigating.
Yes, but the margin of suspicion is too wide, 20%. Bear in mind, but this suspicion is not about examination fraud. It's not about leakage. As for the leakage, WAEC has no means of determining how it benefits Kofi Asare, who was writing in the secondary school. They wouldn't know. WAEC is only looking at the trend in answering your questions, comparing it with other papers in the school, and determining that there are traces of copying, collusion, smuggling of foreign materials.
Yes, but that could be, I mean, that could be reduced to invigilation.
Got the questions ahead or not, WAEC can never determine that. So it is not as though the 20% is all about the irregularities. No, it is just about the malpractice. As for the leakage, it may have benefited more, but then it will be difficult for you to determine that on the surface of the script, because only traces of copying institutionalized cheating will be detected in the script. It's only a tip of the iceberg, and that's why I'm saying that we should be worried. And again, WASSCE again indicated in their own release that they have received reports of alleged collusion. The way they use the word collusion and institutionalized cheating involving invigilators, their own external supervisors, and authorities and students in some schools. And in that statement, that was their last statement, they indicated that they had suspended their invigilators. Okay? So it tells you that synonymous with the findings in our WASSCE reports, institutionalized malpractice was pervasive in many schools. Now, if you look at this, we ask ourselves one question. What has since happened to the invigilators, i.e. teachers, the security men, to the WASSCE officials themselves, to the headmaster in these schools that WASSCE themselves admitted that they have received that information? You forget about ours. We are led in many schools, but assuming ours is not correct. What about WASSCE? Nothing happens to anyone. Nothing. You have been suspended. That's all. Why won't the same thing repeat itself? So we are actually interested also as a matter of safeguarding the credibility of our examinations today and tomorrow, for the ministry to come out the same way they have come out to disclose the results to us, to come and tell us that on the basis of WASSCE's own findings and EduWatch's findings, which we have shared with the ministry and parliament and WASSCE, what has happened to the teachers, invigilators, the headmasters, the policemen, and the WASSCE officials who were cited or who were cited for alleged collusion in these schools? And beyond that, what is the Ministry of Education doing about WASSCE having at least 20% of their schools being investigated for examination malpractice?
Okay. Now, let's look at another leg of the conversation. And I'm sure you've seen the statement from the Education Ministry that says pioneers of double-track system prove critics wrong with good WASSCE results. Now, double-track pioneers excel with impressive WASSCE results. Would you say that this is proving critics wrong? I mean, the performance that we've seen, that after all, the double-track was not bad, as, earlier seen.
As we have said over and over again, we are against government itself leading the politicization of education policy and turn it around to blame the media, blame CSOs, blame other political parties for rather politicizing education policy. We have been running free compulsory universal basic education, FCUB, since His Excellency President Kufuor introduced it in 2005. Have you ever heard any Minister of Education or the Minister of Education pronounce that the FCUB has generated 70% pass rate in BC? Have you ever heard that? No. It is our own commentary, our own analysis, our own submissions as a ministry that continues to politicize senior high school education. And that is why I see this dimension of analysis, this submission, as extremely worrying and unfortunate.
Why is it worrying? I mean, doesn't the figures, the statistics support the fact that this batch of students have done well compared to other batches that went through a single track?
Yeah, that's where I'm now coming to.
Okay.
That you can do this analysis without bringing in free senior high school and double track. That's the point I'm making. Now I'm coming to the actual results.
Okay.
I analyze this results cognizant of targets that the Ministry of Education has set for itself in the Education Strategy Plan. In the targets, the ministry set for itself pass rate in math, English, integrated science, and social studies for the year between 2018 and I think 2030 or so. Now in 2021, the target is set for itself for integrated science is about 58% pass rate total. It is disaggregated into male, female. We don't have the data now, but for now, total is 58. 5-8 for integrated science, 5-3 for mathematics. I don't have the social studies one offhand, but the social studies, mathematics, and integrated science targets have been exceeded. They were exceeded last year and they were exceeded this year. And that is significant. It's a significant attainment of targets that have been set within the Education Strategic Plan. That tells us that the Ministry of Education is progressing in achieving the targets in the Education Strategic Plan in the secondary education sector. That is one. Two, another target is 62% for English, which was unfortunately missed by about, 52, about 8 percentage points.
Yes, 8%.
So even though the targets in the three subjects were met, exceeded, that of English was not met. And so it means that we need to begin putting in more effort in the teaching and learning of English to ensure that in subsequent years we are able to meet or exceed our targets. That is how I will analyze the results, and not with respect to double track or senior high school.
All right.
Well, thanks very much for that. Obviously, this is just the beginning of conversations about these results. We need to figure out what needs to be done going forward. In fact, if you don't mind, before you go, I wonder if you'll make a recommendation for the items that you have identified, the malpractices and the uneven distribution and allocation of results across the country, or of good results across the country. What would your one recommendation be to government of what step to take to fix this or at least improve it next year?
Yeah, this is our preliminary observation. We are yet to do an analysis of the actual results. These results are preliminary results. When the final results are available, the first recommendation is that we need to conduct an analysis of the distribution of the pass rates, not only in the 4 core, but in all the core and then the elective subject areas at the school level, district and regional level, to further inform policy in terms of areas for remedy, interventions that need strengthening, and then best practices. Second, we also need to take a look at the accountability systems within the assessment body. Why? After all that happened, after 194 schools having results candidate certificates withheld, 20% of the total number of schools, who is being held responsible? Who has been held to account as YK? Who has been held to account in the schools that were involved? Who has been held to account within the security service and also within YX external examiners, amongst YX external examiners? It is only when accountability is exacted onto public officers who have the responsibility to act on behalf of the public in good faith that we can end such pollution, which leads to examination practices and bless against the integrity of our assessment system and by extension of the education system. But in conclusion, I think that the students and teachers who taught well and learned well with integrity should work chest high. They should be boastful of their achievements. And government has every reason to be interested in the entire result of the work. But in the plenary performance in math, integrated science, and social studies are a massive improvement over previous years and far exceed the target in the Education Strategic Plan, which is a plus to the interventions being deployed in the secondary education sector to improve quality. We must be mindful that the extent to which these interventions equitably affect quality in all schools is also very important. It might be given the priority.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Kofi Asare, who is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. All right. Coming up on the Super Morning Show, GPRTU and the Transport Ministry of Parliament say that GOIL was told to reduce their fuel prices by 15 pesos. But the Deputy Energy Minister says, no, that's not true. Just that the untruth happens to coincide with the truth.
Exactly, Kujo. So, we've heard from the chairman of the Transport Committee in Parliament, Kennedy Osanyako. He was on PM Express. He talked about how, fuel prices were going to be reduced by GOIL by 15 pesos. And, also Abasi Moro from GPRTU said the same thing. That happened on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, when we're talking about it, for instance, I got calls from the Deputy Energy Minister who's been disputing this, saying his briefing indicated that was not the case. Well, he's come on air now and he's talked about his briefings. We'll be interrogating those briefings here on the Super Morning Show. But that'll be after these few messages. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello.
Dear valued customer, ASMO, the entire customer service team is out for lunch. Please call back in 4 hours.
What? Me nana bedi akona mama me bad service ano. Me kokra.
Ah, Nana, with Babs from Enterprise D, you will love the customer service experience, KK. I am available for you 24/7 on the Enterprise Advantage app, the Enterprise website, and on WhatsApp number 055-400-1924.
Hello, Babs.
Chat with Babs from Enterprise, your contact for insurance, pensions, funeral and property solutions from the Enterprise Group. Dream big with us.
Enterprise, your advantage. This is a beautiful game. 90 minutes full of emotions and excitement that makes us love the game even more. And even more when you stand a chance of winning 125,000 cedis for only 2 Ghana cedis. Predict only 12 games correct and win Ghana's easiest jackpot today. Register on 10bet.com.gh and stand a chance to win big with 10bet.